Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game that's just finished. Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool. The score, Tottenham 2, Liverpool 2 in a mini classic, probably a major classic actually. I'm Sam Spurs for Life, joined in the house by Hotspur Hustler and Sean Hurl. Guys, what are we saying? What are you telling me? What are you telling me? What are you telling me? I'm very proud of the performance. It was as I said, if you're just looking at that as a football game, that's one of the best games I've seen for a very, very long time. The fact that we were involved in a thriller with Liverpool could have gone either way. I'm going to watch that game back later on, but I'm looking at the chances that we had to score 4, maybe 5, even possibly more than that. Liverpool had a lot of attempts, but are you happy with what you've seen in terms of the overall performance? We can go through the 1 to 11. They're not even numbered 1 to 11, but we'll go through that anyway. But before we start and get into it, like, subscribe, share, comment. If you don't like what you've seen from Spurs today, you never will. If you don't like what you've seen in terms of football match, you never will. But we are now here to just go through a little bit of a reaction and breathe again. So, gentlemen, should we start with you, Mike? Talk to me about the game.
We should have been 4 up by half time. I don't care what anyone says. We should have had 4 goals at half time. I thought Deji, Winks, Session, and then Ndombele. I was worried about them. Obviously, when you see the team sheet, I was slightly worried about them, and I was worried a bit for Davis. Obviously, coming up against Salah, but they all played well today. I can't fault the work ethic. Ndombele, for Kane's goal, slotted that ball through for Kane on a sixpence.
If you remember, Winks broke that play up and then passed that ball into Ndombele, and that's where we got that from. So credit to him for that one.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the back three have been playing well since under Conte. But when you come up against that front three for Liverpool, you are fearful of how they're going to perform. When you add in Session, Ndombele, who hasn't been in the team much, and Winks, you get a little bit, and Emerson obviously on the right, but he's a first team really. But when you see those 3 in front of that back three, you are a little bit nervous. But I thought we played really well. Like the energy, I'd love to see how much ground we covered today, because there was a lot of running from those boys. But I'm not even going to criticize them, but if there was something that they could improve on, it'd just be the finishing.
We know that now. That is the
second half. We should have scored a couple more. It could have been 6. I mean, that's how crazy that game was. Don't get me wrong. Liverpool had their chances, and it wasn't just one-way traffic. Liverpool had a lot of possession. Liverpool do what Liverpool do, and they are an excellent team. Like when you see how quick they transition from defence to midfield to attack, how they keep that ball well, they zip it around really quick. And for me, they're probably the best team in the league. I know the league might tell a different story at the moment, but they are an excellent team, and they had their chances. But when you look at we had the better chances, the clear-cut chances came to us, and Liverpool playing that high line suited us today. And
Liverpool without Van Dijk, as you probably know, Liverpool without Van Dijk, I wouldn't say ordinary, because that's not fair on them, but they were definitely susceptible to a lot more than I've seen them. The amount of times we got in behind them, the amount of times we was in good positions to get shots off at goal, to get one-on-ones with the keeper. That's what was surprising. We had opportunities to get them, just the final ball a little bit sometimes. We did get through a number of chances. But yeah, you're just thinking to yourself, I think we might look back at that and think, is that 2 points drop? Is that a point?
Yeah, it is.
You're probably going to think 2 points dropped. I'm agreeing with you. Let me come to you, Sean. What's your thoughts on the game? And then we'll have a bit of a look at the stats and etc. Talk to me about the game.
Now, some people were slagging me off for my confidence before the game. And you're all now saying how good we were. And we were good. And I can't criticise any of the players. You know, some were slightly better than others maybe. But for me, this shows what having a good manager is all about. He's had to manage COVID, injuries, loss of form, players whose confidence is in their boots, and he's put up he's more than held his own against one of the two top sides in the country, and I'm absolutely buzzing with what the potential is for this football club, and it's amazing what one appointment can do. The appointment of a manager, he managed everything perfectly. He knew that some players couldn't do the full 90 minutes. He brought on some which made sense. He was excellent. Geeing Sessegnon up to close down in the second half. I thought Sessegnon came on and had an incredible game.
Yeah.
And whisper it, but the Winks naissance, it might be happening.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
If he plays,
I was going to say, if people look, and we was talking about this stuff here, if people want to come on here and have a go at Harry Winks today, that's up to them. Everybody knows my thoughts on Harry Winks. Everybody knows my thoughts on Delhi. But again, when players do what more than what they've shown previously against a team like Liverpool, you have to give credit. I give credit to Winks today. Yeah, you might pick up on a couple of times he's given the ball away in bad areas, but the things that he did well, as you were saying, Sean, he kept that ball moving. He moved that ball onto the players that needed to get it. And when we had opportunities to get in behind him, that ball was played. Do you know that first
pass
goal,
for Son's goal was excellent. It was Rui Costa-esque. It was fantastic.
I was going to say, even before for the goal that Kane scored, the interception that Winks made, played it into Ndombele. Ndombele then played a precise ball into Kane, and Kane did what we haven't seen him do enough of this season. Cool, calm, slotted it away. Now, had we had a Harry Kane from last season, he would have had 4 goals today. 100% he would have had 4 goals today. It was just that little bit of, you could put it down to good defending, good keeping from Alisson and a couple of opportunities. But we did have some real gilt edges. And I think that the XG, apparently it was 2.5 to us to 1.5 to them. So it shows we had some clear-cut chances in the game today. Who stood out for you today, Mike?
Oh, Winks. I've got to say it. I thought Winks was probably... It's hard for me to say who would get... If he was looking for a man of the match, from the Tottenham side, it'd be hard for me to choose between Winks and Sessegnon. I thought keeping Salah as quiet as they did, it's hard to choose between the two. I'd probably say Winks. I'm going to say I'd probably give man of the match to Winks, to be fair to him, because what he did very well. And yeah, he may have given the ball away a couple of times, but what Spurs player didn't in that game? How many times did Liverpool give the ball away? I mean, I
know. I said both teams.
You can't.
That's why it was so open, because both teams were going for the victory. Both teams were going to try and score goals today. But both teams made mistakes, and there was so much space on the pitch. I just thought there was an opportunity though to maybe just tweak it slightly, because Robertson and Trent Alexander, particularly in that first half, they were getting so much. But the way that they played tactically, again, similar to what Man City do. Both of them were playing a little bit infield, so it created more more numbers in the midfield. And Salah and Mane pushed back Emerson and Sessegnon on the other side to make sure that Trent and Robertson were getting on the ball a lot. But we dealt with that. I think second half we seemed to Ndombele worked really hard. I'm going to have to say that again. That's not his natural game, and he had to keep going out, making sure he was getting to that man. And you could see it in his face. Sometimes you're thinking, I've got to do this again. But he did it. And that's the main thing. Something has ticked again in him that Conte said, right, this is what you have to do in this system today. Maybe now we can see that he's got the work ethic. So no complaints from me from that side.
The thing with him as well, he had to get dirty and a bit dirty. Well, he had to get dirty, didn't he, today? I mean, he put the tackles in. I thought we saw a side of him that perhaps we may not have seen before, in that, just from the fact that he was having to rolled his sleeves up and help Winks out and dig in. And I think he did it quite well. And as I say, he did what he does very well. And with that assist for Kane.
So let's talk about the main talking points in the game then. There were so many. There was really a lot. I guess we'll have to look at the sending offs that could have happened, the ones that did happen, the ones that could have happened, the Kane challenge on Robertson. What did you think? Was that a sending off, Sean?
It was a red card all day, unfortunately. But I tell you what, you know, they have had so much luck against us in previous games. But remember when we were talking in the preview how I went to that game at Anfield where Son went round Alisson and he put it in against the bar, which would have made it 2-0. And, you know, so, you know, what comes around goes around, you know what I mean? So, fair enough. What it did show was how committed Kane is. I thought he was really up for it today. You know, he took some bashing. You know, they may not have had Van Dijk, but that Canute is some bruising player, isn't he? You know, he's a big old unit. So, yeah, definitely Kane was a lucky boy. I would agree with that. However, there should have been 2 penalties, one for them and one for us.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I was absolutely screaming at the telly when Neville said that wasn't a penalty on Dele in the second half. It was a clear push in the small of his back, and Neville goes, you know, I was calling him all the names under the sun, you know. But I mean, Jota was brought down by Royale as well in the first half. So
I'm gonna come to asking about some of the other instances as well. But in terms of people seem to think, it was a little bit of a touch in the back. When you're running at pace and someone nudges you in the back, that's exactly what happens. You fall over because the pace you're running at. Now, whether or not he could have maybe got a shot for goal, I don't know. I'd have to watch it back, but it was definitely a clear push in the back. Some would argue, was it enough to send him sprawling? But again, there's nothing in the rules to say you have to touch him with this amount of force or you have to push him with that. You know what I mean? It was a push. He went down. It should have been a penalty. I would also look at Jota's one and think that was a penalty as well, though. Go on, Mike. Sorry.
Jota's one was definitely a penalty. I think Dele's. I thought Dele was a penalty as well. But that challenge on the box, was it on Winks? I think it was from Matip on Winks.
Yeah.
I thought that was a penalty because he clattered into
Me too.
Winks. There was no way that was a fair tackle. He battered Winks. And I thought, and it was in the box. It was about a foot in the box. I thought that was, but ref plays on. But and as for Kane,
I thought the referee made some he was very card happy early doors, and then I think he was starting to think, oh God, I'm going to have to send too many players off. And I mean, I thought Keita was lucky to stay on the field. He's a dirty little bugger, isn't he?
He reminds me of Fernandinho. He's a dirty player.
Off the ball, he was kicking Dele all through that first half. He should have been, he should have been in the card well before the second half.
Before we go any further, you know what we've got to do now, don't we? We know who's here, who's joined us. He's joined us. He's live.
I hope he didn't leave with 15 minutes to go.
He's joined us. He's got back home already. It's Sid Spurs. He's joined us straight from the game. Welcome, Sid. Welcome to the stream. Some people are saying, I've got a few comments here. Jamie Paul. I would say Liverpool contributed towards a very, very good game of football. True. The way that they approached the game, they had a lot of key players out as well. Let's not forget that. Their midfield wasn't the midfield that I've seen play before in terms of those players playing together. Not in recent times anyway. And yeah, anybody that's got a Virgil van Dijk and doesn't have him in their back line is going to suffer. I don't care who you are because he's that good a player. But we had some significant players out. You know, we can talk about, what's his name? Romero being out as a centre-back for us. You know, Reguilon didn't start. Two of our main midfielders, Højbjerg, Skip, nowhere to be seen until obviously the second half for Skip. And the front, well, I said front two, obviously with Kane and Son being there. Moura didn't start as well. So, you know, there's both, on both sides, you could look at saying it wasn't the best lineups, but made for a really good game.
I'm just surprised that Liverpool played such a high line because that high line is only effective really when if you've got Van Dijk in that back line, that does allow the fullbacks to bomb on and be sort of comfortable in the fact that they know they've got who's it normally VDV and is it Matip? I don't know whoever it is. But they played a high line. Even with 10 men, they were playing a high line. I'm surprised Klopp didn't alter these tactics because it suited us down to the ground. Every time we had the ball, we were looking like we were going to get a ball sort of like slotted through or over the top, and we looked like we were going on goal. So every time we were on the attack as such, but yeah, Robertson deserved to go for that.
That was a bad challenge.
Have we touched on Kane then?
I don't think it was malicious as such. I think he's gone for the ball, but you know when you're committed and you can't take your foot back. I think he.
Which ball was he going for? Are you talking about the danglies between Emerson's legs? I mean, he took both legs out, and the fact that he argued it.
Oh, Robertson, that was a red card.
He was nowhere near the ball.
It was a red card.
Yeah, you can't boot through players. Even if he was going for the ball, which he obviously was, he missed it. You can't boot through players and stay on the pitch.
It left on the first coach. It was so late. It was like I thought it was pregnant. You know.
Let's get some feedback from Sid. Sid, your thoughts on being there at the game live today. How did the crowd respond? Because as I said, I think we've seen previous games of this season where we haven't started well. We've kind of been a bit lackluster. We've had booing at halftime. There was no way that we could be booed off at halftime for this performance today. So, what was it like in the stadium live today, Sid?
You know that saying that when you're watching a really good game and all the hairs on your arms stand up. Oh, I was clean shaved when I went, and all the hair on my head's grown. That's how exciting that game was. No, honestly, the crowd was totally up for it today. They, from the offset, they were just pure behind Spurs. Every single player was egged on. There wasn't one bad word about any of the Spurs players. Even Dele got, standing ovation, and that's the first. I think Winks had a good game. Sessegnon had a good game. I mean, everyone. I'm going to keep going on about it, but I think everything Dele done today, going forward, winning balls. There was one incident where he lost the ball, then he got it back, and then in the end, I think it was who was on the right back, Trent or somebody, and he kept hold of the ball. And Dele got that peed off. He pushed him off the ball, and then the referee had a word with him. But honestly, the whole crowd, even up until the last minute, they were all over Spurs today. And it was one of the best performances I've seen for a while. Every time we had the ball going forward, I've never seen Liverpool crack their pants, man. Because
how many players did we have trying to get in the box though today?
Yeah.
For me, that was the real difference in our performances. When I saw balls over the top, as you were saying, Mike, because there was so much space in behind, but it wasn't just Son and Kane trying to run after it. I was seeing that Emerson was there. I was seeing Sessegnon was behind him. I was seeing Dele Alli was there. Ndombele was trying to make up the ground to get in there. And for us to have the amount of XG that we had, it shows that we had some real quality chances. If we can finish now, and I'm not talking about, because obviously these players can finish. If we had a bit more luck, like I said, and just got that second goal when we were 1-0 up, I don't think Liverpool would have come back for a draw, because they would have been attacking. They pushed so much, even with 10 men, that they were leaving so much space in that we could have picked them off. But we didn't. Still, though, the performance from all the players, we have to give them credit for.
What even Skip, when he came on, he just played. I've never seen Skip play that forward, and I think he did a cracking job, because every time he got the ball, he was pumping forward and he was looking. Maybe because he had Winks and whoever else played with him just sitting back a little bit. But even him when he came on as well.
Winks has been doing that though since that Brentford game. If you notice, he's playing more he's playing far more advanced than what he has done previously. It's stuff like this. Like we didn't have a game
that's how Winks came through the academy. Winks came through the academy as an attacking midfielder, not a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
I think
he was said, and I'll come back to you, Mike. And I want to just read this comment out from Wayne Bonner. So Wayne Bonner, thank you for the super chat, Wayne. Honest thoughts on the ref. We can get some honest thoughts on the ref, but before we just get that, I was just going to mention regarding the Winks thing. Winks actually played the centre of the three of them today, and it wasn't like he was playing an attacking role as such. He was joining in the attack. But what he was doing really well is in that central pivot that he was playing, he was picking the ball up and giving it. Picking it up, giving it, and making them challenges, like I said. And he was doing it quicker. He wasn't getting caught out on the ball so much as what I've seen. There was 1 or 2 occasions, but like you were saying, lots of players got caught out. What are your honest thoughts on the ref today, though, guys?
I thought, do you know what? I thought under the circumstances, he made a few good decisions. I've just been listening on the way home to the radio as well. The Harry Kane incident in the first half happened in the opposite towards where we were sat, but everyone's saying that he should have been red carded. They're saying that was worse than what Robertson's was. And I've seen a few, I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts on that one? Was it a red?
It was a red.
100%.
It was a red card, definitely.
100%.
But it was no worse. Robertson's was far worse.
Right,
He took both of Emerson's legs.
Yeah, Robertson's was worse, but I didn't see the Kane's one, but I'm hearing that he should have got.
He's a lucky boy.
It was his first challenge as well, wasn't it? So that might be playing in the mess. He's just scored a goal. He's high on. He's probably got adrenaline pumping through. He's seen the ball and thought, oh, it's a 50-50 there. I might have a chance of blocking it. That's what I think he's gone for, the block. But the pitch was wet. He's just gone through, and the momentum's carried him.
You would look at this incident very differently. Had he had his foot planted and had he gone through there, that could have been very nasty. His foot was off the ground. It looked worse than it was. It was a bad tackle. Well. Yeah, he did see it coming. But what I'm saying is, had he kept his foot planted, that could have been a really horrible tackle. And it was a red card. Because if you compare, it's reckless endangerment. He went in for that challenge. As you said, he was pumped up. Adrenaline was flowing. He wanted to win the ball back. We've all done it when we played football. But we can't say that it wasn't a red card because I thought, oh, he's gone here. But it balanced up. Well, I say balanced up. We didn't get him sent off, did we? So Robertson had to go for his one.
Not the Salah goal. Sorry, Robertson's goal.
How
did that goal stand? Because you can't tell me, even if VAR looking at that ball hit Salah's arm, clear as day, and it's led to the build-up of a goal, which was in 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
Remember the last game of last season, Mike. Mike, in the last game of last season, Kane also had a ball that hit his hand, against Leicester, and he was allowed to carry on, and he carried on, and he put it back to Bale, and Bale scored the 4th goal. So, I think it's there's got to be an element of deliberate thing. I don't think Salah deliberately went with his arm. It just the ball dropped and it hit his arm. But you know
what?
It's a hat.
I was going to say, in all fairness, right? Unfortunately, even on the radio now, all they're talking about is the red card for Kane, the red card for Robertson.
Of course, they've got to find some sort of agenda, haven't they, against Kane?
But
can't find it because he didn't score.
Yeah, that game should have been wrapped up. We should have wrapped that game up.
Oh, Jesus.
Dead and buried. Liverpool must be walking away today and their fans thinking, how have we've got away with murder here? Absolute murder. Because on another day, mate, that should have been
I know. And this is what I'm saying. Let's look at these stats, because the stats, I haven't even really looked through myself. I put them on here, but I've not seen what they are. But I'm going to go through. Let's have a look and see. So, possession, for those who are listening, 44% to us, 56% to Liverpool. Shots, 9 to 18. Shots on target, 5 to 6 for them. Corners, 6 for us, 4 to them. Fouls, 12 to 11. I don't think the shots on target necessarily tell the quality of chances that we had. The quality of chances. The XG, if we could show that, I think was 2.5 to 1.5. Our quality of chances that we had were really, really good. That's good for the future, because if we're playing against high teams like Liverpool, who usually dominate the ball in terms of winning that ball back and putting teams under pressure, I don't think they did that to us today. I think we kept the ball quite well, even though the possession says they had slightly more of the ball. We didn't look under that much pressure all the time. When I've seen Liverpool play recently this season, it seems like they've got 2 or 3 players getting to play. We seem to control that side of things, which is good. Maybe the system did that. Maybe the 3 at the back allowed us to do that. I don't know.
I think, 44% possession against the Liverpool side is pretty good going. Especially I don't think,
the Liverpool side without some of their best players as well. So,
but we can say the same thing.
But look at their replacements. They still got good. They've still got quality players. And I think he's going to be we would normally, you imagine under Mourinho it was like 25% or something like that. So I think as I said, my man of the match is Conte for his squad management and his man management. But yeah, I think that was pretty decent of us. And as you say, that although we had less shots on target, I mean, Delhi, Kane, those were gilt-edged chances.
Oh, that
gilt-edged
Delhi
chances.
thing. Oh my days! When he tried to square it to Kane, I think
Oh,
he fluffed it, didn't he?
Jeez, I forgot about
He
that.
fluffed it, yeah. He did. He
Yeah.
fluffed it.
Fluffed it, didn't he? And then,
There was a couple of Son opportunities as well that he had as
Yeah.
well. I was thinking Son would normally, and it wasn't like he was right. It's the ones where if he just made the touch and just slightly put it in front of him, he was 1-on-1 with that keeper. And I'm always backing Son 1v1 on any keeper.
Yeah.
Let's go in. Go on. Sorry, I was going to go on to the next part. Starting lineup. So the starting lineup for us today was a 3-5-2. I think it did pan out to be a 3-5-2. And when I saw the lineup, I was thinking that's how they were going to play. So we had Lloris in goal, Sanchez, Dyer, Davis made up the back three, Emerson and Sessegnon played the wing backs. How well did Sessegnon do today against Salah and Davis, in my opinion, to keep Salah pretty much without many opportunities today? The midfield three consisted of Ndombele, Winks and Delhi. We've talked about them. And Kane and Son up top. What did you think of Kane's performance in terms of where he played? Noticeably more than number 9 today, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think it goes without saying. Kane's dangerous when he's playing off that line, isn't he? When he's playing on the back of that line, that's where he's most dangerous. Like we saw it with the goal that he scored. It's just prime Kane. He didn't even. I think he had a cheeky look as soon as that ball's been played. But when you see him going through on goal, he didn't look up until after he took that shot. And it's just striker's instinct, isn't it? I mean, Alisson didn't have a chance of it, but
the placement was unbelievable. It's like that's 6 inches inside the post. Yeah. You know, it was vintage Kane. You know, and you could see, you know, in his celebration the relief. You know. Not only have I scored, but I've scored against Liverpool, you know. So I think Kane was playing up front, and you know, I think it's obviously we played a 2 to give their centre backs a run around, and we did. We gave them a run around all afternoon. Yeah, and you know, fair play to our Italian stallion for his nous for doing that, you know.
So in hindsight, so Mike, in hindsight, then what did you think of the starting lineup, particularly the midfield before the game, and then obviously give your thoughts after the game? Because I will say when I saw Winks, then Ndombele and Delhi as a midfield three, I was like, this is not going to work out too well for us in terms of the work ethic. However, I changed my mind completely after the game. I think they all three of them worked really hard to do what they needed to do. So yeah, your thoughts on the starting level?
Well, I mean, it goes without saying that midfield three there. I was nervous as soon as I saw that midfield three, and then Sessegnon in front of that back three. I was nervous. I was like, I didn't think we'd get a result just on that basis. Because I mean, let's be honest. That midfield three we've all but written off. Sessegnon. It's not a case with Sessegnon that I don't rate him or I'm not writing him off. It's just a case that he hasn't played enough games, and for him to come back in against Salah and Trent, I mean, talk about get thrown in the deep end. And he swam. He had a great game. He kept them quiet as much as he could do. As the back three today was solid. I know we conceded 2 goals, but I'm saying one of them should have been disallowed, and that's Robertson's second. But I thought the back three was solid today. Sanchez had a very good game. Davis did very well against Salah, and Dyer was just a rock. He's just in this.
I was going to say in this area of the pitch here, where I thought was going to be the danger area with Salah on this side. Well, these two dealt with him. I wouldn't say had him in their pocket, but certainly kept him to very limited chances, because they showed the graphic before the game. There's only one game all season that Salah's not had a goal contribution in. I don't think he contributed towards any of the goals today. So, again, he's done well against him.
They doubled up on him. And if you look, like, what Liverpool seem to do, they put the ball out onto the left-hand side to Robertson, and then all of a sudden, that switch from Robertson, he pings it diagonal over to Salah, and that's... if you cut that out, either cut it out from Robertson being allowed to do that, or you intercept it, which we did on a number of occasions today, then you've kind of not eliminated that threat to Salah, because on the balance of probability, he's going to work on occasions. But when he did have it, Sessegnon and Davis doubled up on him very well. I can't. There isn't anything I can fault there with that side. Emerson, he had his work cut out with Robertson, and that was always going to be the case. You knew that those fullback or wing backs, should say, were going to be in for a tough old day. And Robertson and Trent they're just beasts, aren't they? Up and down that flank, just for 90 minutes solid. There isn't fullbacks in the country, probably in Europe, that can get up and down as well as them.
So this is what I'm saying. So what I just wanted to ask Sid, from the stadium, because this was it. These two areas here, you can see even from this static graphic here, if this is how we set up, these were always going to be the areas which is going to be very difficult, which meant that Dele Alli was having to do a lot of this traveling out here. Oops, let's go back. Dele Alli was having to do a lot of traveling out here. Dumbelly having to do the same, which meant that Winks was on his own, which meant he had even better game, because these two weren't as close to him as they could have been, because they were having to do a lot of this tracking out here to mark out Trent. So again, the way that we played, Winks did have to do a lot of work in this midfield, just picking it up and just winning the ball back, giving it. I thought the front two, as you were saying, Sean, just put them two centre-backs under a lot of pressure today. Was there anything, though, in the game that we could have possibly done to maybe nullify the threat of Trent and Robertson? I don't know what you saw from the stadium, Sid, if there was anything that you was maybe crying out for that you thought could have done something different to stop their attack.
Do you know what? Firstly, right, what you should have done is read out everyone's messages when they saw the lineup with them three in the middle, yeah? Because you just brushed over that. There was some harsh language in there, and there was people winning and doing all sorts of madness, yeah? But you know what? They proved everyone wrong. Do you know, watching it from the stands today, I don't think there was anything we could have done better, to be fair, apart from the chances that we had put them in the back of the net. What you're pinpointing in here, I think Salah and Trent were limited to do only few things by Davis and Sessegnon because they had them on toast. I mean, every time they tried to go forward, they either doubled up on him or Sessegnon done the job on him. Salah didn't do much at all. I think on the other side, Emerson had it a little bit harder with Robertson. There was a few times where Emerson doing what Emerson does with them rash challenges where he just goes in without thinking. But the other side, I think Sessegnon and Ben Davies done an absolute superb job. And I think they had Ali helping them out as well. So Ali was coming back as well, tracking. So between the lot of them and the crowd and whatever, I didn't hear not one murmur, not one person saying, "Oi, what's he doing?" There was none of that normal where you're slagging players off and that. There was none of that. I think everybody was happy today, apart from obviously the result, which some might have been happy with. But in terms of performances, I think everyone done a solid job, man. Everyone done even Sanchez done a solid job. But if you keep, I think this is the first game he's not assisted or scored a goal whole season. And yesterday
there was one other game he did it.
Was it West Ham?
Yeah. I think it was West Ham.
But going back to yesterday, we were dreading Jota and we was dreading what you said, Sam, down that side. I think today it was just like, what are we watching here? These two, I mean, Sessegnon was just, even going forward, I think he's done really well.
Really good signs for us to have Sessegnon and Reguilon now fighting for positions in that left-hand side. Yeah. That's what I want to see. I want to see competition for Reguilon because, on the other side, we are kind of reliant now on Emerson. He played well, solid, didn't do too much going forward, didn't do much in defensively wrong, but, he's definitely the first choice fullback, right back, wing back, whatever you want to call him. But I don't think he's got enough competition because I don't know, though, he's not going to push him.
No.
But now seeing what Sessegnon doing, we've got a good left-hand side. Sean, what do you want to see then from the next game in terms of, maybe when everybody's fit, are we now looking at Winks pushing one of the Skips and the Højbjergs, or is it too early to kind of say that at the moment?
I'm that one Spurs fan that is in Harry Winks' camp, but I don't think you can remove Højbjerg and Skip as the sort of first choice as the screening. I thought today the five across the middle was a bit ragged. Actually, you were talking about Ndombele and Delhi having to go wide to do that, but it was. I thought it was quite. Well, of course, it contributes to the fact that they probably run more Ks today than any other game. But I thought they did a very. It's a very difficult task to deal with those fullbacks because they don't. I mean, they pop up in places that you just don't expect a fullback to come up. I mean, Trent on the edge of the box. Every time he got on the edge of the box, you were just hoping that he would. I mean, he had a great left-footed shot, which Lloris did really well to save. Thought Lloris pulled off some big saves today, actually. Joking aside, I mean, I was bigging up Conte as a man of the match, but for me, I thought Dyer was incredible today. He was rock-like. He was pinging quarterback passes over their defence, and Sessegnon on a couple of occasions in the first half got round the back, and with a bit more luck, he would have scored. And Kane had a great chance just as the whistle blew at half time. I just I don't think they are going to displace the players, even though they played well today. But they put themselves in for consideration, And if we need to play 3-5-2, we've got players to do that. I want to see more of Ndombele now after writing him off against Mura.
Let me be cynical then to all of you. Let me be cynical. Those three players, Ndombele, Winks, Delhi, all three of them are being touted as possibly being moved on from Spurs in January. Do you think they were either playing for places in the Spurs team or putting themselves in the shop window to get their moves? I'm being a cynic. I'm not saying anything other than that. Mike, what's your thoughts?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I mean, you could argue that, maybe they're sort of playing for a move away, but then it might be they've had a couple of weeks and sort of with no matches. Conte's got a hold of them, and he's had more time to train, coach, chat with them, do the whole manager thing, not just on the training field but off it. And you just don't know, do you? I mean, I couldn't tell you whether I think they're playing for a move away or not. I'd like to think that Conte's had a word with them, put his arm around them, and maybe they've got a bit of confidence off the back of having a chat. I mean, you look at Winks today, it's hard to say that he's playing for a move away when he is Tottenham through and through. And he might just see it that Conte said to him, show me what you can do on the field and put the performances in, and I can't leave you out. And today, I go back, I think he put the performance in. The thing with Winks, which we didn't really see under whether it was Mason or Mourinho or Nuno, was he actually played the ball forward far quicker. And like you said, he did his distribution. He wasn't holding on to the ball. He was like, right, get the ball quick, get out of my feet, and move it on. And he did it very quick today, quicker than I've ever seen him do it previously. And it might just be, as I say, you'd like to think that's down to Conte telling him, demanding sort of better efforts in training and concentration. Again, it could be down to fitness levels as well, improving. And if you're fitter, the mind works better with a fit body, doesn't it? So, I like to think that those boys are thinking, actually, let's just try and put a performance in and get into the first team. And if they're not, then you know what's going to happen to them.
Sid, what do you think? Do you think it was a case of these guys have something switched in them today to perform like that? I think obviously the level of competition, you look at it, if you compare obviously Enes Moura to Liverpool, it's chalk and cheese. So we know that the players, if you're not up for a game like today, you're never going to be up for it in football. So I can maybe excuse a little bit the Enes Moura performance because of what I've seen today. But then again, I can look at it the other way and not excuse that performance because of what they did today. That shows me that they can play at a decent level and they can work to what instructions they're given, because it can only be down. And the reason I say that, Mike, is because I saw early doors, there was one thing where where Harry Winks had the ball, he held on for a little bit too long, and he got dispossessed. I'm sure I saw Conte giving him dog's abuse. He didn't really do that after that. When he was getting it, he was giving it. He was getting it, he was giving it. He wasn't holding on to the ball too long. And that's what I want to see him do more of.
And that's
Find the
Conte,
passes
though, isn't
quicker.
it?
That's definitely Conte.
Conte doesn't like you holding on. You can see there's a few times where he looked like he was hammering the players for mistakes, or like the chances that we were missing. You could just see on his, like, from his expressions. He's obviously thinking, how the effing hell are you missing those chances or these chances? But he would be happy that we were creating that many chances against that Liverpool, and they were clear-cut chances, which on another day you'd like to think we'd put them away. So it's a bit of give and take, isn't it? Yeah, you can see there's a bit probably stuff that Conte wouldn't be happy with, but on the balance of it all, I think he'd be very happy. Performance-wise, you can't knock that performance.
Sid, would you read anything into this comment from Jews Nuts here? Did you notice when Dele and Endom came off, they didn't shake hands with Conte, where Sessegnon did? Anything to read into that, do you reckon?
I don't think so. I think I did say to my boy that when Endoms was taken off, he took him 85 minutes to walk off the pitch. When he could have just gone off the other side and walked around, and he was just so slow. And then even when he was going to the bench, he was just so slow. I didn't see anything with Dele. I just saw Dele running off and just when he got a pat on the back and he went straight to the bench and whatever he did. But
I thought I saw the back. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I thought I saw the backroom staff patting him on the back.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, Conte to me was further down his tech box, probably having a go at the back three, you know. So I don't think there was anything. I don't read anything into that.
I don't think so. But going back to your original question, I think the three players you mentioned, I don't think they had anything to impress. Everybody knows, all the teams out there that want to buy know what the three players are all about, what they can do, and what the value is. I think they were put into today's team because of the situation we've been in with COVID and injuries and whatever. And Conte's had them for extra couple of days, and he just said to them, guys, just go out there, do me a favor, do me a job. You're getting paid. You're at Tottenham Hotspur, go and play your game. And I think all three of them done a great job. And it's not going to improve their chances of leaving the club, and it's not going to disimprove their chances of leaving the club. If people want them, they'll get them. And on the performances today, I think people might be more interested in them. It's whether they're going to go wherever. Out of the three, though, I'll give you my honest opinion. Out of the three, if anyone is to leave, I think Ndombele is going to be the one out of the three. And I think Conte probably would be more happy with Ndombele leaving than Winks and Dele. Because I think he can get a tune out of Dele and Winks. Whether everybody wants him to or not. Personally,
didn't he get a tune out of him today, though? And then you saw Ndombele split Liverpool's defence open with that through ball for Kane's goals. So I think this is why I go back to the whole thing with Ndombele. If you can get a tune out of Ndombele, we have got a world-class footballer on our hands, and it's down to Conte, who's earning £20 million to find that sort of, I don't know, bit of genius in terms of managerial from a managerial aspect to get that out of Ndombele. And Ndombele did stuff today that we've not seen him do previously, i.e. he rolled his sleeves up and he did the dirty work, which
he really did. You have to give him that.
And he's not known for that. Like, he closed the ball down well. He made the tackles. As I say, you saw a different side of him that we're just not used to. And as I say, that bit of magic when we need someone with a bit of creative flair to open up Liverpool, he did it, and Kane slots the ball in the back of the net. I don't think you can ask more from Ndombele.
I still think, though, he holds on to the ball sometimes. I think there was a couple of times where he tried to do too much and he lost possession and Liverpool counter-attacked on us. I think he needs to get rid of that game. But like what Sam said before, out of the three, I think this proved today, right, what Conte can do to certain players. Yeah. Now
that's true.
If we get rid of them three, if all three go in January, right, we're going to be, if this kind of shit happens again, we're going to be stuck, and he's not going to have players to rely on, which for one, you might be able to get a tune out of. So I personally think out of the three, I don't think all three will go. As much as everybody wants all three of them to go, I think one or two.
Me personally, and I'll just be quick on my thing. If January is not always the best time to get players, I think we know that. Unless you definitely guarantee to get someone who is going to come into this team now and perform, it's a gamble. It's going to be a gamble anyway. Why not wait till the summertime?
Yeah.
Even if you're going to have these players as a bit of a surplus, they might not all get games. It's times like this when you find out, right, the Conte can get a tune out of them, even if it's for 1 or 2 games. I go back to the NS Moore thing and I think to myself, I'm going to put that down as just a one-off, a blip that they just weren't at the races, all the players, and it was one of the... We played one of the best teams in Europe today. I know that they had players missing, but so did we. And it was a really open game of football. I've not seen Liverpool that open. I know they didn't have VVD at the back, but they really were open with that high line. And if these players can at least do this for games against lesser teams, if they'd have played like that against the likes of West Ham, we would be like, well, we should have been tearing West Ham a new one. But we did it against Liverpool, and we were unlucky to not come away with the win. So, again, unless there's a definite 1 or 2 free players that we're saying are going to come in and hit that ground, keep these players in, maybe get 1 or 2 players in that January window, but look to build them towards the summer and then maybe make some moves and that. I just don't know if it's going to be beneficial for us to get rid of all 3 of them.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
At the same time.
Exactly. But it is what it is. And do you know what? Let's see. This team, it'll be interesting now on Wednesday to see what he does against West Ham. Because me personally, I would stick to the team that played today. Because if they've given you a good tune today, why change it? Have the Højbjerg, have the Skips and all them lot on the bench to bring on.
So, okay, let's talk about that then. I'll come to you first, Sean. That starting lineup that we had today, and I'll just put it back up on here. I'll just get rid of this comment here. Are we saying then that you wouldn't then take out Sessegnon and put Reguilon in? Are we also saying if Skip's fit, we wouldn't take him out and place him in front of Ndombele, Winks, or Dele? I think you're right. Winks, I think, should get another opportunity to see whether this is just as Sean said, a Winks naissance. Or is it really naissance? or is it just one of them games where he's up for it because it's Liverpool? Who would you start against West Ham then? Go on then, talk to me, guys.
Same 11.
I think I'm not sure about the same 11. I think playing five across the middle is acceptable against Liverpool. But do we do that against West Ham?
Why not?
I'm not absolutely certain. I think you might go back to 3-4-3.
I think why change something when you've almost battered Liverpool and should have walked away with 3-4 goals? Why change it against West Ham, who are going to be firing in a quarterfinals of a cup? When this team, if they play like this, then they could end up beating them 3-4-0. Why change it?
Sorry, Sean. Is this our best start 11? If given all players being fit, would this be our best 11? I know it's the quarterfinals, but I think we want to win this quarterfinals. Now, personally, the change, I think I might go to a 3-4-3. The reason I say that is I think we're a little bit more, not so much, probably wrong for balance. I just think with having someone like Mora on there, his work rate just causes a little bit more problems for their defensive line. Now, whether or not West Ham is going to be as attacking with their fullbacks, I'm not so sure. They've got players like, is it Cresswell and who else is it that they've got on the other side, haven't they?
I can't remember the other one.
I just don't know.
The weekend, I saw him.
I don't know if they're going to be as attacking as Liverpool are in that sense. So again, maybe we could put an extra player in that forward area. But it is one of them ones. If you play a winning team, I wouldn't be mad at it. But then if he plays the same team and they don't get the same tune out of him, then we always say, I should have started him, we shouldn't have done that. So it's a tough one, isn't it?
I think sports science is going to guide Conte, because he's already indicated that he's aware that COVID has debilitating effects on lung capacity and things like this. So I think he'll be consulting the doctors before he picks his team, and that's why I think you may see some players that don't don't play. Those that had COVID, and obviously it's clear that people and that affected Reguilon in particular. But I would play Reguilon at left back, and I think I would go to. If Højbjerg's back, I like him on because it's a combative game. West Ham, we always joke it's their cup final. Well, I want someone who's up for it, and I think Højbjerg will be thinking, well, I've got to, after that, I'm going to need to stamp my authority on my position. I think I'd play Højbjerg in the middle, and Skip seemed fine.
So let me ask a question, and I'll ask it of you, Mike. What about Stevie Bergwijn? One thing I did see with Stevie Bergwijn today, which was good for me, there was a camera shot when we had the opportunity to score a goal. I think it's actually when we did actually score, when Son rolled it in. Both him and Tanganga looked like they were happy for that to happen. I've seen Bergwijn before not look happy when, there was that famous shot of him and Doherty when Conte walked past and it just looked like they just hated him. But it looked like there was more togetherness, even from those little shots. Do you think there's an opportunity for maybe Bergwijn to come in one of those positions, maybe give Son a rest? I don't know. What's your thoughts?
If he goes 3-4-3, then yeah, there is an opportunity, especially on that right-hand flank. It's whether he does it or not. This is the difficult thing. Like, it's a good problem to have for Conte. Like, if everyone, after the back of a performance like this, as to okay, you kind of want momentum, especially getting into the Christmas break. If you've got a bit of momentum from picking up good performances, you've got picking up points against good teams, etc., then you kind of can carry that into the next game. And if you've got the momentum, then that would always help. I think Bergwijn, it's a case of when he comes on, he's got to take his chances, or if he gets a start, he's got to take his chance. I think that's what the case is with a lot of these players off the back of this performance. You can argue. I mean, I think Winks' passing on the back of the day looks better than Højbjerg's. Although we'd all probably sit here and say, I'd rather have Højbjerg in the starting 11 than Winks. But on the back of that performance, if you can see Winks can play well, he can play forward, he can sort of distribute the ball very well, he can break up play well. So if you've got Winks who can do what Højbjerg does, and he can pass the ball probably better than Højbjerg, then it might be a good thing for Højbjerg insofar as he's not playing every single minute of every single game, and he can, when he does play, he can be fresh. Same with Skip. Doesn't have to play every single minute if you've got Winks in there that can do just as good a job. It might give these boys a bit of a breather, which would only benefit them and for us, because it keeps them sharp, keeps them fit, keeps them sort of fresh. So for me, it's a good problem to have. However you look at it, off the back of this performance, if these players can carry on with these performances, with this momentum, same with Session, then you'd hope that the players that have been in the starting 11, it pushes them to play better. And then the whole squad's you get to tune out the whole squad. So that whole sort of competitiveness to win places, to sort of inspire each other to play better and perform better, then that might come in favour for the team as a whole and getting these sort of points on the board against these bigger teams, etc. So yeah, if Bergwijn comes on, he's just got to show what he can do.
So I'm going to ask both, on this final part of this then, I'll ask all of you, I'll ask all three of you for your opinion. How do you think Conte would have seen today's performance and result? Do you think he'd be pleased with what he's seen, or a little bit disappointed that we didn't actually take all 3 points? Sean, what's your thoughts?
Conte, being a winner, will be disappointed that we didn't take all 3 points. I think that's clear. But I think, given what he's had to cope with, I would imagine he's more than satisfied. But he'll look at those chances, particularly the Delhi one and the Kane one, when it's just one-on-one with the keeper, and he'll say that they were gilt-edged. But no, he'll be satisfied, but he'll be a bit disappointed. At the same time, he'll be disappointed that we've not taken 3 points. Definitely, I think that will be how he would read it. Obviously, we'll know when we look at the press conference later, But
yeah, I think what you said there is he's a winner. He would want to have won that game, given the fact we scored first, given the fact that the chances to win that game in the first half, particularly, as I said, I thought we had some real gilt-edged ones. So again, it's a bit of both. We can see the improvements. I can see clearly that players are responding to him. I think we know that, obviously. The likes of Ben Davies, again, was very, very solid again today. Didn't look like he was out of place in that back three. Even Sanchez. I know he done a couple of what Sanchez does.
You see that after 20 seconds? You see that after 20 seconds when he skied it into it, skied it to himself.
I did
thought,
that and I
God.
went like this.
That was planned. That was a 1-2 with himself.
That was a 1-2, wasn't it? But as I said, even he settled down. So there is hope for every single player.
And he made a very good interception late on as well. I remember sliding the cut out across.
That definitely.
So,
his pace gets him out of trouble for that reason. Sid, what's your thought? What do you think Conte will believe? Is this a positive result from a fan's perspective? But do you think he would have seen that as an opportunity to maybe get 2 more points on top of the point we got?
I think going into the game, the fact that we hadn't played for 2 weeks and Liverpool had a couple of games and they were on a roll, I think he's going to be more than pleased with the performance. He'll probably be disappointed with the chances, what you've already covered, the chances that we had, gilt edge chances as well. That on a normal day, Son, Kane buries them. Defensively solid. I think he'll be happy with the 3 players that came in the middle, done a good job for him. And overall, I think he'll be very happy with the result, the performance. But on the flip side, he'll be disappointed that we didn't get the win.
Okay. I think, yeah, definitely. Mike, I'm going to ask double part of the question, or 2-part question, should I say. What do you think Conte will be saying to the players? I know we haven't seen the press conference, but then what do you think he'd say to the press? And do you think there'd be different things that he'd be saying? Because I think that he'd be saying to them players, I think he'd be proud of the players today. I think he'd be proud of the way that they've come,
100%.
Given the adversity we've had, the COVID challenges the players are at, etc., etc. But as Sean's mentioned, very competitive man. I saw when we missed some gilt edge, Conte's normally like throwing his arms. He just put his hands over his face very slowly, like, shit, what's happened here? Why did we take? So again, he might have 2 different messages. What would you be saying to the players, and then what would you be saying to the press afterwards?
Do you know what? I don't think my message to the players and the press would be too different. I would, if I was Conte, I'd probably be going in and praise them for the performance, the level, the effort levels. As I say, I'd like to see how much ground the players covered today, because it must have been a hell of a lot, far more than what Liverpool I would have thought covered. The effort levels, yeah, I think you would have been proud of the effort levels, the performance. As I say, a lot of these players that have come in today haven't really featured much this season, and to come in against Liverpool and put up performances like that, you can only but praise them. I do think what he would say, probably not after the game. He'd probably wait until like the next day when he analysed the game and stuff. I think he would be very much not critical, but wanting improvement in our finishing, because, as I say, we should have hit 4. Well, we should have hit 5 or 6 today, which is crazy.
All right, a question for you then. Do you think we need a striker in January still?
Not a strike. No. I'm going to say no. I don't think we need a striker in January. Okay. I think we have positions that we should cover, which is more of a priority. I think we still need another defender and I think we need a right winger who knows where the back of the net is, who can probably play anywhere along that front line. I think that would be more beneficial than us just going out getting a striker. But I do think Conte will be wanting improvement in the finishing. I think either the finishing or sometimes that final ball, but that comes down to decision making, and it might even come down to a bit of tiredness where they might have been blowing a little bit, and that might have sort of marked their judgment on when to play that final pass or not. And with regards to the press, I think I think he'll be sort of I think he'd just praise the players to the press. He'd probably tell them, no, and Conte, that there's still elements that he wants to improve. And I think he'll be annoyed that we, like Sean said, he will be peeved that we didn't get the 3 points, because we should have got the 3 points based on that performance and the clear-cut chances we had. And not just chances, they were clear-cut chances. We should have come away with that game. As I say, we could have been 4-0 up at half-time, and that's no exaggeration. I know Liverpool may have had 1 or 2 chances, but they weren't as clear-cut as ours. Yeah, I think what he just needs to do is just keep that momentum going and keep the confidence levels there, because I think we are looking confident. We're improving week on week, and I think that's what Conte will be very pleased about, is the fact that he's had to call in players who haven't been in the squad week in, week out in the Premier League. He's been able to call them in, and they've done more than a job tonight, and I think he'll be very pleased with that. So.
And that's
for
me.
Sam, can I just say, I want my manager to have 2 faces. In public, in the press, he praises when it's due, and then tomorrow in the video analysis, he's saying, "What were you doing there, Dele? What were you doing there, Harry? What that's when I want him to do it, because that's I think I don't want we had very recent experience of managers who just threw players under the bus, and I don't think it worked for us.
He may be disappointed.
I don't think it worked. Look at Alex Ferguson, the most successful manager in the Premier League history. Yeah, he never did that. He would be put in public. He would front up, and then he would throw a football at David Beckham's head. So,
I see. Mike, he's got his hand up, so we've got to let Sid have his say. He's got his hand up. He's got his hand up. Go on.
Sorry, Sid.
Just a question on what Mike was saying, right? You know what, Sam, when you asked him about do we need a striker? Question for you, right? Or to all of you, actually. Today's game, right? 15 minutes to go. Or when did he get sent off? 80th?
70, I think it was the 74th minute. I think.
Right. So 15 minutes to go, right? I'm going to throw this at Mike as well. Okay, having a striker on the bench, that we may be buying in January, but we should. Do you not think bringing him on, putting Son out wide and playing him with Kane, do you not think we could have gone on there and then won the game, having another striker on the pitch? I personally think if we had that option, we could have gone on there and won it.
Where would you put Son?
On the foot, Son wide, either side.
What, as a wing back?
Not as a wing back, but just play him as an attacker, but play more wider and have a prolific, proven goal scorer there to assist Harry Kane. I think we would have won the game.
Where would you put the 2 strikers? Because then you'd have to have like Kane, and you can't have Son out on the left and then 2 strikers playing central. That's just not going to work.
I think Kane would have dropped a little bit, wouldn't he? I mean, and if you've got
Kane could have gone to a number 10.
That's what I mean. Yeah. He could have gone to a number 10.
If he goes into a number 10, then you're losing that midfield, the energy in the midfield. Like,
we had an extra man, didn't we? I mean, I'm just...
Me personally, I think I would say we need a goal-scoring right winger who can play central if we need to. Like Son can play central, though we haven't utilised him much under Conte. We've seen it that he can do a job when he played against Man City. He can do a job essentially, but for me, I'd rather have, just because the balance, it would suit the balance more for the team if we had a goal-scoring right winger, which we don't have. Kane, if you give chances to Kane, he will notch. We've seen it today. He scored. If you give him a service, he will score. So, for me, if we had another Son out on the right wing, who knows where the back of the net is, he can give and create for Kane, just like Son. I think you're in a sort of like a perfect scenario. Then you've got the likes of Bergwijn, you've got Mora who can come in and do a job. I mean, Mora can play up top. I know you're not going to start Mora up front, but I mean, have you seen it? Mora can play up top. He did it last for Pochettino in the Champions League. So
he's not a proven goal scorer, is he? He's
not.
not.
What we could have had today, and I'll just be quick on this one. If we're playing a 3-5-2, we could have an opportunity to not necessarily play Son or Kane if you're going to play with somebody else. So you could play that somebody, if it's a Vlahovic, let's say if it's him, you could him and Kane, or you could play him and Son. depends on what you want. If you want players to run in behind, you're more likely to play Son. If you wanted to have lethal finishes, you're more likely to have Kane and somebody else. The fact is, if you have the opportunity to play a 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, that will then depend on who you play. I think that's obvious. So you might get away with playing someone just behind a two, like Kane and Vlahovic, and have Son in behind there, or Kane in behind and have them two. Then it does take away from your wide areas. In today's game, because we played this 3-5-2, we were susceptible to a team who dominate in the fullback area, which Liverpool do. Not all teams are going to do that. So it does depend on the formation you play and the team you play against.
I mean, in a perfect world, we'd have a backup striker, we'd have a number 10, we'd have a deep line playmaker, we'd have a right winger, we'd have another right wing back in case Simerson's injured, etc. We'd have better defenders in general. But I think if we had to go into the market, we could only choose 3 players in the January transfer window. If that was a case, for me, it'd be another defender, a deep line playmaker, and a right winger who can play obviously centrally.
So I think I'm going to come around to all of you and get your final thoughts on today's game, and give your man of the match as well. So Sean, to start with you, thoughts on today's game and your actual man of the match. I think I know who you're going to say. He begins with W, but I'm going to let you say it anyway. Go on.
No, in actual fact, although I thought Harry played quite well, Harry Winks, that is, I'm actually going to give it to Eric Dyer, because I thought he made some very important blocks. He was behind most of our good attacking moves in terms of his quarterback-like passes, certainly to Sessegnon and Reguilon when he came on. Eric Dyer for me just shades it. But I'm really pleased to see Winks play well, I must admit. So when you
talk about Winks now, I like that.
Let's go forward and let's give West Ham a doing on Wednesday.
We owe them one.
And I mean on the field, let's have a nice Christmas, yeah.
That's true.
Let's have a good Christmas, you know. I just say, I would say I wouldn't play Winks on Wednesday. I'd bring him in for the next league game. Give him a week.
Southampton, or was it Crystal Palace?
Watford.
Was it Watford?
Yeah.
Boxing Day.
Yeah.
What I will say is,
let's rotate the squad, and given what's the illnesses that have gone through our squad, let's use this time to manage the squad medically as much as possible. Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Omicron is just decimating the.
Sorry, guys. Next game is
London.
Palace, Boxing Day.
Oh, here we go. So Palace, that must be Palace at home.
At home. Yeah, Boxing Day.
Yeah, because we played away to them and got turned over.
Palace, Southampton.
What I will say is, we've had over 90 people at one point. So if you haven't hit that like button, smash that like button for us. Really, really appreciate if you could do that. Anybody that's no longer or is not a member, if you want to become a member, you can join us. Go to our community page, you'll find that out. Subscribe if you're new as well. But yeah, hit that like button. We've had so many people in the chat. Thank you for all your chat. And now we come to Sid. Your final thoughts on the game and your man of the match.
Yeah.
He's not your man of the match.
No, I'm not. I'm just playing that. No, man of the match. Do you know what? Honestly, I don't think there was anyone outstanding. I think Sessegnon had a great game. I think Dele had a decent game. Winksy had a good game. Dyer had a good game as well. I wouldn't give it to anyone in particular. I think, if anything, right, I would give it to the three I mentioned: Sess, Dele, Dyer, and Winks.
Sid,
but I can't give it.
Don't be a politician.
No,
He's trying to.
Don't be Boris. Give us a name.
Come
I
on,
don't think
Sid.
there was anyone out.
Give us a name, Sid. Get them splinters out. You're behind. Come on.
Stay with your chest pumped out.
There wasn't anyone outstanding. Everyone had a good game. They all came out. They done their jobs, right? But for me,
I think we need to buy Sid a table lamp because he's very dark in that room. He's keeping his cards close to his chest.
Okay,
When
all right.
Sid's always controversial, we want him to be controversial.
right,
He's now wanting to get splinters in his behind. Come on, Sid, get
All
off
right,
the fence, man.
okay, let me tell you, right. I've panned this guy for a while, right? And I've said he's not been that decent for me. And I wanted to see the best of him when he played for Fulham. And for me, Sessegnon, for me, is the man of the match because I think he had an outstanding performance. Yeah, for someone who's come back from injury, and for a lot of people have been knocking him because he's been on the injury bench and whatever. To keep Salah and Trent quiet today, I'm going to give it to him. Sess.
Paul Russell agrees with you. Considering Sess hadn't played for ages, it has to be him. And yeah, I can't disagree with that. Mike, your final thoughts on the game and your man of the match?
Yeah, final thoughts. I just want to see us. I've always said this as well on each of the streams. I just want to see Spurs continue to progress, and that is what we are doing. In each performance and each week goes by, we are progressing as a team, as a squad. Whatever Conte's doing, long may that live and continue because he's showing on the pitch. I think our fortunes are slightly starting to turn around. And in terms of man of the match, I'm going to give it to Winks. I said it earlier. I'm going to stick with Winks. He's proved me. I slaughter him. You know, I'm not afraid to admit it on here. I pwn Winks.
Number 8.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to slaughter him today. I thought he was excellent. I thought he played a game that we all want him to play, and it worked.
He's
played
one
well.
of our own. He's one of our own.
Sean's gone.
Harry Wiggs. He's one
of
our own.
He's going to say, see, I told you so. Sorry, Mike. Go on, finish.
His distribution was very good. It was quick. He wasn't slow on the ball. Yeah, he may have got caught out once or twice, but I mean, it's against Liverpool, and they press high. So that can happen against the best of them. But he distributed the ball well, broke up play well. And he was all over, and he put in a flipping shift. And as I say, can't knock him. I'm giving him the man of the match. I think that's his best game I've seen him play for Spurs for as long as I can remember him being in the squad. So
look how much we've been waiting for this. Jesus. I'm going to come to Luke. Luke, thank you very much for the super chat, by the way. Cheers, Sam and boys. Onwards and upwards. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go with the Sessegnon as well. I think for a player that, remember the performance he had when he got sent off, and I thought, I don't think I'm going to see this guy again. Exactly. I thought his confidence is shot. I don't know. To then play against Liverpool like how he did, given the fact that, Reguilon was on the bench, so Reguilon could have started potentially. He showed that, right, I'm now going to give him a bit of competition. Let's hope he gets more opportunities and he can prove himself, because we need that. We need competition, particularly in the fullback areas. If we're going to play a 3-5-2, those positions on the wide areas are very, very key. And you're going to need to work really, really hard. So we're going to need to rotate. So we're going to need someone to come in and do just as good a job as Reguilon does. And that
we won't come up against as good as fullbacks as what we did today, though.
That's right. Totally agree.
There won't be. There's no one in the league anywhere near as good as those two. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. And it's nowhere. There's not that many players in the league who are better than Salah and Mane in wide areas. So again, you think about what the team have come away with, and I say come away with, we should have won the game. But on another day, Liverpool could have nicked it. We were all saying in the chat, "Oh, look what's going to happen here." We're thinking to ourselves, typical what Spurs are going to do, but they didn't. So I'm going to give us the fact that, Conte's been able to get the players playing at a consistent level in terms of their ability to run. We've got Ndombele running around, we've got Dele Alli running around and being effective, not just running around, but being effective. That's the key to it. Winks obviously was effective today. And as Sid was saying, if you could give it to the whole team as man of the match, you would. But I'm going with Sessegnon as well. So that's my final thought. And I just want to apologize if you see me with this permanent kind of like grin. It's because I'm happy today, and I've had this like perma grin on. And I can't help it. So I'm just gonna say that for anybody that thinks, what's he just smiling such like that for? Because I'm just happy today. Mike, Sid, Sean, it's been a good game. It's been a good match to watch, and I think
tactics, Tim.
Anybody that watched that game today cannot say that that wasn't a treat for just before Christmas, onwards and upwards. So I think that is go on.
One final thing, though, yeah. Just I know the Spurs boys will be watching this at some point later on today, yeah. And just keep off the ketchup, please, over Christmas, and mustard, because he's doing a job. So stay off the ketchup.
Did you see what I sent? I sent a glass bottle of ketchup to Antonio Conte.
Yeah,
that's maybe why he's looking a bit.
It's actually working, and for a certain member of the Arsenal community that keeps coming on here, just for you, mate, I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night.
Oh, let's not even get into the Arsenal lot, because they were after yesterday, they were thinking that they're top four, they're in it. You're in it, but let's see what happens in a few games' time if we play like that and we come above you. That's for later. That's for definitely a lot later, because we've got them early part. Is it January? I'm sure.
January 19th and 26th. We've got Chelsea, Arsenal back to back.
So yeah, we've got some streams coming up, gentlemen. So let's just get the Zen moment in. All right, that's for me. That's me done. Right. Okay. Mike, Sid, Sean, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all for watching. Again, if you're just tuning in, hit that like button before we go. Smash that like button. If you're watching it on repeat, again, do the same thing. Leave us comments.
Yeah. And Sam, one more thing. Listen, everybody, over Christmas, yeah, I know you're going to be merry and drinking lots and lots and lots. Practice your videos for previews and after
That's a good shout.
Review shows. Practice your videos, set and just leave them on the side, because when we want your videos for the predictions, we want them in. So start practicing them now. Do it.
What's the number, Sid? What's the number?
I put it in the top corner. Look, there we go.
There we go.
It's in the top there.
Yeah, the number is, I'm going to say it out, 4477743648119. Text will be charged at your local rate, network rate. Please ask the bill payer's commission. It's free, and we will put it on our show. You will be famous.
And that's why Sid is a salesman. That's why he's a salesman. Well done for selling that to everybody out there. I hope you've all taken great notes on there.
Yeah, we want them for Wednesday night for a start.
Yes.
Predictions.
Get the predictions just for that preview show against the West Ham. We've got next game on Thursday, quarterfinal of the League Cup. So that is very, very interesting. They were thinking probably I don't know what the West Ham were thinking. I don't really care what they're thinking now. I think we can do them lot. Just a big shout out to Big Six Banks. Make sure to hit that like and sub. Thank you very much, Ethan, for that as well. And that's it. We've got to go now. Well done, Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. You've shown us.
Come on, you Spurs.
That's the baseline. I don't want to see us go back anywhere from this level of performance. We've got to have this consistency now, and that's what I want us to do. So again, well done. I'm going to watch that game back later on tonight. I'm definitely going to watch it back because it was a good game to watch. And breathe. All right, gents. On the next one. See you later. Take it easy.
Yeah.